welcomes you all to this webinar on the topic Solving DSA Interview Questions under the event webinar series. To tell you more about Cipher Build, it's a tech community for coders where we hope to create professionals suitable for a job profile. We provide resources, questions, host events like webinars, streakex, quizzes, tech marathons, and much more. We have planned to start a webinar series from this month under which we will organize webinars on different topics each month, and hence today we have come up with our very first webinar. I would like to welcome our speaker of the day, Ms. Vritika Naik ma'am, who is Regional Head of Goa GirlScript Foundation, Software Engineer, IamRemarkable Facilitator. So ma'am, now I would like you to take the pilot seat and carry on with this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anshika. Am I audible to all of you all?
Yes ma'am.
Okay, great. So hello everyone. Thanks a lot for coming here and I'm really excited to see all of you all. So I'm Vritika Naik and before we start, let's have this general thing. So I guess most of you all are students here, right? Yeah. So today we are going to discuss about the commonly asked questions in the DSA interviews, like DSA questions in interviews. And they are of different types and we're going to solve some of them as well. And this is going to be pretty interactive, as in whenever I ask something, I would really appreciate if you guys answer in the chat section. So let's begin. I guess you all have been asked to download or keep another device where you have your Kahoot open. So just get ready with that because soon we are going to have this very exciting and interesting Kahoot quiz. So I'll just begin with sharing my screen. I'll be sharing the game pin in a while. It's not yet starting. Okay. Yeah, so here we begin on solving DSA interview questions. To begin with, let me introduce myself to you guys. I am the regional head of Goa GirlScript Foundation. Apart from that, I'm also the organizer for LinkedIn Local Goa, and I am the official facilitator for #IamRemarkable, which is an initiative by Google where we organize workshops and events for women and underrepresented groups where they get to come out and talk about their achievements. I'm also a community representative of Google Developers Group Goa. Talking about my achievements, I love participating in different competitions and have won a lot of things. You can see them on the slides as well. I've also mentored over 150 students in DSA and other technical skills as a part of different webinars, different courses and all. I've also been a live instructor at CamK12. Starting with our topic. So let me tell you what all will be covered in today's webinar. First of all, we'll be discussing about what you need to know before you go and answer your interview. What are the basic things? As we know, DSA or data structures and algorithms is a very interesting subject, very important, used everywhere. But the issue with that is you need your base very clear. You need to understand and know all the basics, all the algorithms. And if you are thorough with that, you can solve any question really quickly. You don't need something really complicated, or you don't need to take up huge courses. It's all about practice and your understanding. After that, we'll be just revising a few basics which are required, and then we'll go to our Kahoot quiz. Okay, so once that is done, we'll be having the main task. We're going to be solving the questions, some commonly asked questions in interviews. And I would really appreciate if you guys can score yourself based on it. And at the end of this, tell me how much you've gained or how better you feel after it. And at the end, I'll just give you all a few tips on how you can be all prepared to crack your next interview. Are you all ready? Type yes in the chat section if you all are ready for this. Great. I see the chat flooding in. Yeah. So starting off with, what are the things, what are the topics which can be asked? If you guys have a notebook or something where you can note this, fair enough. I'll be telling you all the basic topics that you all can be expecting, you all can expect in your interview. When it comes to linked lists, linked lists is something some people read off. It's a really easy topic. Also, remember to keep a pen and paper with you. Try to visualize or draw the linked list. It makes the questions really easy. The basic concepts you need to be aware of: insertion, deletion, merging, comparing, adding, union, intersection, loops. Something really simple. If you know it, you can apply it anywhere. And usually the questions are really easy. They just seem tough, but it's just application of the concepts that you already are aware of. The next thing is dynamic programming. In dynamic programming, there are these amazing application questions like the longest common subsequence, longest increasing subsequence. I'm not aware how many of you all have learned this in college, but there are other things like a 0 1 knapsack problem and all. So these small things, they are just applications and they are usually asked. Then there is your binary search tree. Again, insertion, deletion, all the tree manipulations. And if you're also having some viva or like the oral interview, definitely there are a lot of properties of trees, the pre-order, in order, the traversals, which can help you here. Talking about graphs. Now, again, when you have graphs, there are different algorithms like the traversals, breadth first search, depth first search, the shortest path algorithm, the spanning tree questions, bridges, topological sorts. All of those kind of questions might be asked over there. Searches and sorts, which we have here. The basic searches, binary, linear. When it comes to sorts, selection, insertion, merge, quick, radix, heap, shell sort, all of those. String and array manipulation. We'll be also doing some of these questions. As you all are aware, string and array is like the basic questions. They might give you a string, tell you to break in like a common string and break it into separate words. They might ask you to add some letters at some positions. Something which might seem tricky but is really easy. Then we have number theory questions. In number theory, what you can expect is all these the kind of questions you would expect in cryptography, like modular exponentiation or Euclid algorithms and all. So those these some questions, these are some topics I would suggest you all to go through thoroughly before going for your paper. The next thing, what are the algorithms you should know and master? As I had mentioned before, like in the previous slide, I generalized all the things and I told you all what it is. So now I'm going to tell you guys specifically which algorithms you should be aware of. These are algorithms I've not mentioned like the on the tougher side. Okay, I'm not mentioning your sorts and all. I've told you all about it in the previous slide, and I expect you guys to be thorough with them as well. So the traversals, depth first search and breadth first search, then the shortest path algorithms, minimum spanning tree algorithms, trims, crystals. You should also be aware where and when they can be used, because all these algorithms have their applications. Maybe the same topic can have different algorithms for them. You need to know which one takes a lesser time to work, which one is more suitable in that situation, which one can fulfill all the test cases. Then we have the 0 1 knapsack problem, the subset sum problem, longest common subsequence, longest increasing subsequence, modular exponentiation, and sum of bit differences among all pairs. So these are some algorithms. If you're not aware of them yet, then you can definitely get them on the internet and get an idea about it. In today's session, we are going to focus on solving the questions in a simpler way. So I won't be telling you all about all of these in detail, but yes, they are really simple and you can go ahead and try them out. Okay, talking about the searches and sorts, I've already mentioned this before, but when we talk about all of these, just make sure that you know the application of these. Okay, like the best way of attempting these is visualize the situation in real life. Whether if you had humans or any objects over there, do you think a bubble sort would be better there or would it be merge sort? Think about it. Usually, many questions have implementations of this, and if you know how it is, then voila, you're sorted. Okay, time for the warm up. It's time for a Kahoot quiz. So, I hope you all are still here with me. If you all are feeling slightly sleepy or something, come on, let's go ahead with our Kahoot quiz so that you guys feel awake. Just give me a minute. Let me share the screen. Okay, great. Start joining in. Here's the pin. Okay, guys, I'm starting right now. I hope everyone's here. Great.
Yes, ma'am.
3, 2, 1, go. Here we go. Minimum number of moves required to solve a Tower of Hanoi puzzle is? Okay. So the answer is 2 raised to n minus 1. For those who got this wrong, I'll just tell you how it is. So I hope you're aware of the Tower of Hanoi puzzle. For those who aren't, we'll have 3 towers, A, B, C, and you've been given a number of discs. Okay, and you need to move the disc from one tower to, like, from the source tower to the destination tower with, like, taking care of a few conditions which are mentioned. So you can check this out. It's a very interesting puzzle and it's one of the most important things in programming. It's just it's one step higher than the Fibonacci series, but very commonly asked. So now this one, how do you do it? So when you have 3 discs, it's 7 steps. There are 7 moves required. When it's 4, it's 15. So you guys have to, y'all can solve this and y'all will get to know that there is the formula which works for all of them, and that's 2 raised to n minus 1. 2 raised to n minus 1. So let's see who.
How, ma'am? How, ma'am?
Sorry?
How, ma'am?
Yeah. So,
Ma'am, can't understand your question, ma'am. What you told about
yeah, so Tower of
question.
Hanoi is an algorithm which exists, and in that you have 3 towers, okay? And you have to move. There are these number of discs given to you, and you need to move one disc from one tower to the other in a way that certain rules are specified. Like the discs are of different sizes, so the smaller disc shouldn't be on under a larger disc. That's one of the conditions. Okay, and you can just move the.
Ma'am, can you please show a picture of Hanoi puzzle?
Yes, sure. I'll do it after the quiz. Okay, so we can just finish this and then we can.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Or maybe at the end of the thing, you can just note down your query. So at the end of the whole session, I can explain that to you. Okay. Cool. So let's move on to the next question.
Okay, ma'am.
Question number 2. A pivot element to partition unsorted list is used in which of these sorts? The answer is quick sort. Whoever answered it is right. Insertion, heap, merge don't use a pivot element. Let's check out who's high on the scoreboard this time. Next question. A stable sorting algorithm. Select the most appropriate answer. What do you all think a stable sorting algorithm is? It does not change the sequence of appearance of elements. So whichever algorithm is stable, if the way they are placed before is like, how do you know this? So if you want to test this, you try to sort a list having similar elements, okay, like maybe two ones, and then try to sort it. So you can name these ones as 1A, 1B, or something of that sort, wherein you know which one is it. And then you'll realize that in whichever algorithm is stable, the order will be the same in the output as well. So that is called stable sorting. Moving on to the next. What is common in three different types of traversals: in order, pre-order, and post-order? Let me tell you this also, that these are certain questions which can be asked in your oral interview, if not in an MCQ quiz. Yeah, so just to justify this answer to those who thought it wasn't right, in order is LNR, left node right. Pre-order is LRN, left right node. And post order is NLR, node left and right. Yeah, so your in order is LNR, your pre-order is LRN, and your post order is NLR. So if you see, in all three of these, the left is before the right. Okay, so that is the right answer here. Also, all these questions are with this assumption that you all have an idea of all the fundamentals of DSA, whatever is taught in college or something. So moving on to the next question, which of the following has search efficiency of O of 1? Okay. So all three of them have the search efficiency over 1. It's either n, log n, n square, it depends. But hash table, I'll show you all how hash table is searched at the end of this quiz. And yes, that's the only one which has a search efficiency of O of 1. It takes it takes that much time only. It's in some numbers. Moving on to the next. The in-order and pre-order traversal of a binary tree are DBAFCG and ABDECFG respectively. The post-order traversal is Himali, answer on Kahoot, please. Okay. So we were given the in order and pre-order traversal. Okay. That is DBEAFCG and ABDECFG. I'll just mention them here. It's the in order and pre-order. Okay. So if you know how from in order and pre-order you get the tree, you should know that your whatever is there in pre-order here, pre-order means node, sorry, pre-order would be your, okay, I'll just show you guys the tree, how it looks, and you'll understand how it is. Okay, I'll be showing you all that after the quiz, so we'll just finish that and then we'll come back. Okay. So yes, I Manoj, it's right. Pre-order is left-right node. But what we are going to do is we'll just do this and I'll show you all the doubts you all had so that we can get over with all these basics altogether. Moving on to the next question. So you all can just finish with the Kahoot quiz first. Next question. True or false? In a simple graph, the number of edges is equal to twice the sum of degrees of the vertices. Think about it. It's a very easy but a very tricky question. Okay, so those who said true, you'll just make a note of this, that this sum of vertices is twice the sum of the number of edges and not the way it's given. It is false because the sum of vertices is twice the sum of number of edges. Question number 8. A connected planar graph having 6 vertices, 7 edges contains how many regions? The correct answer is 3. So there's a formula for this, and that is number of vertices minus number of edges plus r, that number of regions, is equal to 2. So in this case, it would be 6 minus 7 plus r is equal to 2. So your r is equal to 3. Question number 9. What is a dynamic array? Select the most appropriate option. It is a variable size data structure. Okay, about an array which is reallocated whenever new elements have to be added. No, it is not reallocated each time. It's someone whose size can vary at any time. Okay, it's a variable size data structure. Question number 10. The given graph is regular, true or false? This is the graph. It's true. So when such a question is asked, you have to check how many edges are connected to a vertex. So if the number of edges connected to every vertex is same, then it's a regular graph. So here you will see it's 3, 3, 3, 3 in every cases, and hence it is a regular graph. Moving on to the next. Right now we have GV at the highest. Let's see what happens next. Question 11. What is a DQ? So DQ is a double-ended queue, and that's how it gets its name. So it's a queue with insert and delete for both front and rear ends. Second last question. Which of the following is the efficient data structure for searching words in dictionaries? The answer is try. For those who have a question on this, I think for those who aren't aware about what a try is, how it works, you can go ahead, research more. It's a data structure which is used specifically for these purposes and is really helpful when you want to work with words or letters or something of that. Okay. And then we move on to our last question. It's a true or false question. A tree stored in an array using either one of in order or post order or pre order can be again reformed. It's false. When you're just given one of them, you cannot estimate the entire tree. It's either one given. So you cannot. Okay? So with that, we are at the end of our quiz. Let's see the results. We have Pooja in the third position, GV in the second, and Ash in the first. Congrats to all the winners and everyone who participated in this. It was wonderful and it's amazing that you all participated and you all tried to check out how good you all are at this. So let's move on to the next part. I'll share my screen with you to show you guys the questions that we missed out on earlier. Just a minute. Okay. So here you go. Whoever had a doubt on Tower of Hanoi. So here we have, like as I said, we'll have three towers, A, B, and C. And this is a simple case in which we have three disks given. As I said, A here is your source star, B is your destination tar. Sorry, C is your destination tar and B is the temporary tar. Now you need to move this disk from A to C in the way it's given. So here A is the first. This particular image is how it is in the beginning and this image is how it is at the end. Okay. So if I want to move it to here and okay, throughout the thing, I need to make sure that at no position, a smaller disk is below a larger disk. So how do I do this? There's only one way. I put this red here, then the white here, which is this image. Then I put red on B and move A to C. Okay. So once I have then I'll put this B back to A and then I have all of them separate. So then I can repeatedly move them again to get this thing. So if you see, here we have 7 steps to reach the final. Similarly, there are the number of disks can be increased, 4, 5, 6, 7, as many as you want. So I hope you are clear with this particular question. So moving on to the next part where you guys could have had a doubt. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, this was the question. Did I send the? Okay, there. Okay, I'll just tell you how. Okay, so I don't know if you all have noted down the traversals, but this was the final output you get from the in order and pre-order given. Okay, so we have a pre-order and in order you find this, and then you find the post order. Cool. So you all have to determine the in order and pre-order. You have to find the post order after getting the tree, which you can get from any two methods. Okay, moving on to the next question. Okay, for the hash table, if you, I'm pretty sure you all are aware about how the search in linked list, arrays, or other algorithms go on. In a hash table, for those who aren't aware, it's something really similar. It's really straight. It's all, it goes straight like this, and that's why it doesn't need a lot of iterations and all. So it's just O of 1. I hope this much is clear with all of y'all. With this, let's move back to our main topic, that was solving the coding questions. So let me present that screen. Is my screen visible? Please type in the chat box. Is it now? Okay, great. So moving on to the exercises. I hope you all have a pen and paper. Please don't unmute yourselves. I want you guys, as soon as the question is given, you get around 5 minutes. Just think, and if you know how to solve it, you can mention the method in the chat box or let me know. I'll pick you out and you can answer the question. Cool. So starting with the first question. Okay, also all these questions have been asked in interviews of different companies, and I've just mentioned a few given here. Okay, the first one is to convert Roman number to integer. So you're given a string S which represents a Roman numeral. It could be X, XII, XL, or anything. Now you need to convert this into an integer. Like X would mean 10, XII would mean 12, XL would mean 40. So how would you do it? Take your time, and as soon as you know that, if you think you know the answer or you know the method, mention it in the chat box. I don't need the exact code here from you guys. I don't want you all to be perfect. You can give a try. It's just the method or the algorithm that you need to tell me. Another 1 minute, and you have another 1 minute to try. Do try it out. If you are not able to, then we'll go ahead. Pooja, do you have an answer to it? Okay, Ayushi has the answer. Very good, Ayushi. That is the right answer. Okay, guys. So if anyone, okay, you guys can start, like you all can leave your answers there, but I'll start explaining as already we have one answer in the chat box. If you also got a similar answer or a right answer, mark it, give yourself some marks. Okay, let's do this. I have how many ever questions I have. If you get the right answer, you give yourself a 10 mark. And if not, you can mark yourself something that you feel. It's not for anything. It's just for you at the end to know how prepared you are or how well your understanding about the subject is. So let's go ahead. Let me explain you guys the answer. So as Ayushi said, first thing, you have to split the numeral into its Roman symbol. So I'll just explain you all on this input itself. So we have 7 or VII. So split it into 3 parts. Now you need to convert this into its values. Ignore the operators right now, just take in the values. So your V is a 5, I is 1, 1. Once that is done, you have two conditions to check. Always start from index 0, which is the first one. Now, when I'm here, I'm going to check how is the second or the next one related to me. If it is smaller than me, I'm going to add it. Okay. So if it's I, then I'm just going to add it, and like see here, it's 1, right? It's smaller or equal. And if I see that this particular, the second one here, I mean, the first one is smaller than the second one. Okay. Then what I do is I subtract. If you want, let me explain it again. I confused a little, pretty sure about that. So here we took V and we had 5. And then we had a 1 and 1. Now we are comparing this with the next one. This number is greater than this, so add it. Okay, you do it for greater or equal. So 5 plus 1, 6 plus 1, 7. In this case, there's a I and V. I is smaller than V, that is 1 is smaller than 5. So you take the second number and subtract the first from the second, which is 5 minus 1 is 4. I hope this part is clear. Is it clear to all of you? Type yes in the...
Yes, ma'am.
Type yes. Great. So let's go to the code. Okay. My code is in C. It's just an example. You guys can choose the programming language of your choice. Remember, it's always the algorithm that you need to understand. The code can be anything. Like it can be on any language. So here we take the Roman numeral. We have R is I. Take all your Roman numerals that you would use. I, V, X, and based on them, return the value that you want to give. If it's none of these, then you return -1. So like I is 1, V is 5, X is 10, L is 50, C is 100, in that way. Now, when you want to convert from Roman to decimal, we have another function for that. The parameter will definitely be the string. Your initial result is 0. We'll be changing it as in when we go ahead. We're going to use our for loop here, which is starting from I and going till the end of the string. That is the length of the string. So you take a variable and give it the value in of the first element. Okay? And because right now we have the first element, it will be the current element. Now, if we're going to do the testing only when we have a next element. So if there's a next element, then we find the second element and check if the first element is greater. Like in 7, we had VII. So we add the value to our result. Okay? If not, if it's smaller, then we subtract the value. That will be S2 minus S1. It would be V minus I. And then you go ahead. If all of this is not, like if it's done, if it's not in this if, you have your else. Like if it's not less than your string length, then you just add your result to this S1 which is present. And at the end, you return the final result. Is this clear? Great. Moving on to the next question. Array in wave form. So let me explain you all. So waves, there'll be one at the lower peak, higher, lower, higher, something of that. So what we need to do here is we'll be given an input array and we have to present it in a way that there's one down, one up, down, or that is one, if the first one is greater, the second one will be lower than it. The third one will be greater than the second one. So if you see, 5 is smaller than 10, but 6 is greater than 5. 2 smaller than 6, 20 greater than 2. So that way, we need to get this. So it's a simple question. Take 3 minutes and by 6, try to give the answer. I would request you or suggest you not to go online and try to copy the answers. So try to do the answers by yourself. It's the place where you try to understand and test yourself. Suggesting everyone to give a shot on the questions. Also, these questions, they might be present on various sites because, as I said, they are very commonly asked interview questions. But I picked some of these, like these specifically, because they are good for your to test your skills and to learn and understand better. Ayushi says sorting and swapping. Yes, but not in detail. I'll explain you guys, right? But um, satisfies condition. Jayan, that would be a pretty long method. Okay. And Isha, if you do it that way, like we don't want to mess up the order totally. We're just going it really, like we are going to do it in the simplest way. Okay. So going first and last, it's not the way we do it. So let me explain you guys how this thing is done. As Ayushi said, sort the array and then swap the elements. Ascending and two different sorted ascending. Okay, I'm just checking the answers before we go ahead. Linked list, you don't need it here exactly. It's just going to increase the time. Two different sorted ascending and other descending. Again, you're going to increase the time limit. Okay, so a normal function for swapping, which we usually use, and then we sort it. And now we are going to swap the adjacent elements. So if you see in this particular option that we've been given, we have to first sort this, okay? And once we sort it, then only we can swap. Like you will see if you have 2, 3, 5, it would be 2, 5, 3. So in that way, all the alternate elements, because they are swapped, you see here there's I plus is equal to 2. So only in pairs they are swapped. So you get the correct output. Okay. Is this clear? So think about it. 2, 3, 5, 6. I have 2 and 3. I swap them 3, 2. Then 5 is bigger. 6 is smaller. I mean, 6 is the bigger one than 5. So you have to go back and swap it as well. So each time that process will keep continuing. Yes, Harshit. So take a random array that you have, okay? Like maybe this one. Let's take the first two pairs and understand it. So we have your 2, 3, 5, 6, right? So what we would do here in our case, okay, so avoid this particular example. I'll try to have a whiteboard on the screen. Just give me a minute. Okay, guys, can you see the screen? Can you guys see a jam board? Okay, okay, leave it. Okay, I don't want you guys to leave the meeting, so I'll explain here only. So after sorting the array, so you have 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay. So now when we are on the first two elements, I swap them. I get 3 and 2. Okay. So 3 is bigger. Then we have 2, which is smaller. Then I go to the next pair, which is 5 and 6. I swap it. So 6 is the bigger one now. Then 5 is the smaller. So that's how you can get it in a proper waveform. Is this clear? Great. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. Okay, this is another very commonly asked question. You might even be doing something similar in artificial intelligence if you have the subject in your college. Some colleges might teach it, some might not. But this is a very common question. And to understand it, it's like if you understand this, you can kind of do a lot of questions. So you are given an array of size n having non-negative integers. Why is it non-negative? Because it will tell you about the water levels. Okay, so they won't be negative at all. So there are these n vertical lines drawn such that the two end points of line are IHI and I0. You need to write a program to find two lines which give you the container with the most water. I'll show you how it looks. Just give me a minute. It's something like this. Okay, you'll have different lines and you need to find the two lines which can give you more area of water. Okay, so you all need to check this with different lines given. Try doing this. Tell me what do you think about the answer, how it will be solved. Yes, Ayushi. So, see, this question seems very complicated, okay? And honestly, it just uses your principles of area, like length into breadth is height. That's it, okay? And the question seems complicated because of these i's, hi's, and all the variables. So, what you will be given is 4 or whatever number of values, okay? So, this could also be given as a graph, such that the first one is still 1, second 2, third 4, and 3. Now you need to find which two lines together, if you put water in between them, it would give you a container with most water. Okay, like when you join them with a line. So if you want to understand this question will show you. So if I have been given these any two lines, the smaller line will be the one connecting and giving that. Try to visualize it. This is the picture, and you can try and understand better with the help of this particular picture. You need to find which two lines together has the max area. Okay, Ashish, if you plan to test every single line with the other, it's fine. But how would you calculate the area? So the speciality of this question, what you need to understand is how the area is calculated. Length of the boundary and difference of indexes. Length of the boundary wouldn't be exactly length of the boundary, but okay. Uh, it would be the minimum of the two tars. Okay, like if I have these two, okay, or these two, then I'm going to take the length of this and the difference between these indexes. Okay, great. So let's move on to the algorithm and the code. Again, the algorithm looks complicated. It isn't. Let me explain you again. So we have a nested loop here. So the first one will go from the first till the end. Okay, we are going to check each and every case and then sort it. Okay, so and your max values will be changing. So you start from the first, you have two indices. When your I will go from first to last, and J will be always I plus 1. So you're comparing I with the next one. And you have to find, like, how would you find the area? It would be first the minimum between this J and I, okay, into, because that, if you see, the minimum of this would be the height or the length, and the difference between the indices would be the base. So your base into height would be your area. So here the area would be that. Why am I using max? Okay, this would be just another function which calculates which is the maximum among two given values. So we'll be having a current area. You have the main important part of this algorithm or the question is that you have to find the maximum area, right? So I'm going to check with whatever is present. Currently it's 0, or maybe in the second thing it would be 10. So I'll be just checking if that given area is bigger or smaller than whatever is present. And then after the whole thing, I just return the area given. Any doubts with this question? See, Ashish, when here I've used a function, okay? So if in my particular question, it totally depends, okay? So why do we use functions? We use functions to reduce the redundancy of typing the code. So in my particular code, if I have to use max again, then I would prefer a function. Else a normal if statement wouldn't make a difference. It would be the same thing. Yeah, it takes O of n square. And this, as to me, it's like the best solution. There might be a solution, but at least I personally feel that this is the most optimal one. Okay, so moving on to the next question. It's the edit distance problem. Okay, so we've been given two strings, and what we need to do is we need to convert one string to another, and check how many replacements or edits have been made. For example, in this particular word, geek, to get string 2 out of it, I need to insert an S. If I have to move from string 2 to string 1, I need to remove an S. Okay. Take this example. I have cat. I need to make it cut. So I need to replace A with a U. So there are three basic operations that you'll require, either insertion, removal, or replacement. So you need to make a code which satisfies all of this. And what you need to find is the minimum number of edits for transformation. Four minutes for this question. Really simple one. Okay, Ayushi. So see, edit distance is you have to find how many edits are there. Okay. If I've been given a string, I'm checking how many steps are required to convert it to another string. For example, let me take your name. So your name is Ayushi. If I have to convert that particular word to another name, Arushi, the only thing I need to change, the only letter which will change will be the Y. So Y will become R. I replace Y with R. Exactly. And then the name is the same. we had one operation required, that's it. It was the replacement operation. Now, if Arushi had an extra A, I would be needing to add an A there, correct? So you need to know if an addition is required, removal is required, or replacement is required, and how many are required. It's like the minimum number that you need to find. Anyone else? Guys, try. I'm giving you all time, and then we'll go move to the question. Because if I answer right now, then the others might not try as well. Another minute? Can try it. I'm going to give you guys an example, like a proper thing meanwhile. So this is for you guys to understand. So we have intention here, and you need to change it to execution. So the shortest way, I have to delete I need to replace this. Replace, this is fine. Insert, replace, and then it's all right. This is a bigger question. Might seem slightly confusing. But yeah, you all need to make the algorithm to find this out. So let's see how it exactly works. Okay. So it's really simple. You can either start from the left or the right side of both the strings. Okay. As I said earlier, remember we have an insertion, removal, and replacement operation. I'm just defining a minimum. We had a maximum there. We are just making a minimum here for three values. If I've been given X, Y, Z, I'll explain you all why it is done when we go to the main part. But the minimum of three numbers would be minimum of two numbers, like minimum of the minimum of two numbers and the last number. So if I say 235, the minimum of that, I would first find what's the minimum between 2 and 3, which is 2. Then the minimum of 2 and 5, which is 2. And I'd get my answer, which would be the same as the minimum of all three. Simple. So that's something you need to know. Now, what we do here is we are creating a recursive function. It's the most efficient, like most easiest way and most easiest to understand as well. So if, okay, we have been given as parameters your string 1, length of string 1, that is m, string 2, length of string 2, that is n. Now, you have to first check if either of the strings are empty. Okay, that could also be a test case. You need to be ready for every test case in your coding questions. As you're aware, if you all have answered any quizzes or anything, then you are marked for the test cases that you give right. So for the test case where the string is empty. If string 1 is empty, then you have to fill in all characters of the second string into first to make them equal. So you return the length of string 2. Okay. Now, if your string 2 is empty, then you return characters of all which are there in string 1. You can either remove or insert. Cool. So it will be M in this case, N in this case. So now after that, what we do is we are going to go, see it's recursion, right? So we are going to go from the back, like from max characters and go till the end. Okay, to the general case. So these two cases you're aware of, and these two will basically work if the number of strings is it's either the general case, it will work as like directly because either of them are empty, or when you reach a point where one of them has all become empty after all the changes that are done. Cool. Now we go to the next part. If the last character of both the strings are equal, okay, if they are both equal, we just ignore them. We don't have to consider them anymore. So we are going to recall this function string 1, string 2, and now since we ignored both the places, we just reduce the length of both the strings by 1. This will continuously happen each time the character is equal. If the character is not equal and if none of the strings have become empty, then we have our other case. What happens here is you're going to return 1. Okay, 1 because there is an operation taking place. Plus, because you have to also call the function again. We can't end it here. So we find what is the minimum of these 3 steps which is required. Whether it's insertion or removal or replacement, which 3 among them will help us? If we are inserting, okay, if we are inserting from M, sorry, from the second string to the first, first string will remain the same, but the second string's one character will reduce. If we are removing, okay, from then the first character of the first string's one character will reduce and the second strings will remain the same. Now, if we are replacing, then we are going to reduce both the characters because both of them there is a change. Okay, in the previous, as I said, you can either start from the left or the right. Okay. So we in this case, I am explaining you all how you start from the right section. And just to repeat, Isha, I'll just cover whatever you got confused with. First, base cases. If M is 0, that is if string 1 is empty, in the beginning or at any point, you're going to return the length of the second string. If n is 0, that is the second string is empty, then you're returning the length of the first string. Okay, because that is the number of movements you'll take, like how many, either the insertion or removal. Now this is just when one of them is empty. The third part is when we get a similar or the same character. In that case, because it's same, you just ignore it, you just reduce the length of the string, both the strings in the recursive call. Now, if these 3 cases don't work, that is, you need an insertion, deletion, or a replacement. In that case, you have to, the addition of your step would be the 1 here. Okay, we're returning 1 plus something. And we have to find the minimum of all these 3 operations. So in the first one, it's we are going to call string 1, string 2, m and n minus 1. Why did we reduce n minus 1 here? Like, why did we reduce the number of the length of the second string? It is because we are inserting characters of the second into the first. We're just reducing one. In the second case, we are removing a character from the first string. So there's a subtraction there. In the third case, there's a replacement. Okay, both of them will are getting affected. So we reduce the length of both the strings. There's a one which marks the replacement here. In when we are ignoring them, there is no plus one, so that is not seen. Yeah, if the strings are totally different, then it will take a little bit. It'll take a little more time. Agreed, and it won't be very efficient. Okay, is this code clear? There are other ways as well. Like you can start from either side. The reason we are starting from the back side is because um, it's more on your comfort level. Like I chose from the back. You can choose from the front as well. Doesn't matter much. So in our case here, basically like most of the strings in such questions are usually more common at the back. So yeah, definitely a lot of time will be taken if there is mismatch, and this question takes a lot of time, honestly speaking, and it's not something very easy. It's a on the higher scale of difficulty. Cool, let's move on to the next question. It's called the word break problem. So you just get a string with two words connected together. You're also given a dictionary, okay, with which has all the words present. This uses basic string functions. What you need to like, I assuming that you are aware of the basic string functions, and if there is the coding language that you use has it already in a header file, cool enough. What you need to do, this is a very simple question. Okay, just tell me the logic. It will be really simple. You need to split these words. So as this is said, hard things about hard things, hard things about. Simple. Splitting from capital letter. In this case, it's all capital letters. So, okay, but what if it wasn't a capital letter? Think about that case as well. Guys, simple logic. Um, Something like you don't think of it in a programmer's manner. Maybe just think simple stuff. Like you have words in a dictionary. You have a dictionary given. You have a string which are the words. So just check if how they can relate to each other. Think about it. Okay, so I'll explain you guys how this is done. So you need to consider each prefix and search it in the dictionary. Okay. So this is a Boolean function for the breaking part. So you're going to this is look, I'll explain you how this thing works. Okay, so you check if that particular prefix is present in the dictionary. Okay, like it's going to be a long code. Okay, so you keep on testing substrings, like you take the words and check if that prefix is in the dictionary, and if it is, then you return true. Else you try the next one. You keep on increasing the size of the prefix. Each time you have to check that if it is present, and you return true. Okay, this is just the function. This is just the function to check if there is that prefix works. If it works over there, we go ahead and do the splitting part. There's more code to this. I've just added the like how to compare here. So it will take really long time. You have your word. You check the like each combination of the letters, the prefix which you get in the dictionary. If it exists, split it off. If it doesn't, go ahead. Is this clear, guys? Yes, Ayushi. See, time complexity for this, right? So this is just the function, and for this, it will be much more. It's going to be huge actually because of your the dictionary has a lot of elements. So it would be like plus you have your recursion here, so it's a huge thing. So it's not a very feasible thing, but yeah, we do use this. Okay, so moving on to the next two questions. Simple one, I'll start off with explaining you how this would work. So we have this matrix given here, and we need to rotate it clockwise. Okay, it's in the clockwise direction, not the anti-clockwise. We rotate it in the clockwise direction. So if you see, if I'm moving this clockwise, it would be 741,852,963. It's really simple. You will understand this by this GIF. So if I have to rotate this thing, first I'm going to transpose the matrix and then reverse each rows. And you get it. You all can see it again and try to understand. Is this clear how it works? If you all understood the working of this particular problem, please type a yes in the chat section. Ayushi, for the previous question, this is the best approach that I could figure out. And yeah, if you can think of a better approach, then yeah, definitely why not? Okay, so for this question, this is it. Moving on to the code. First of all, you need to transpose the matrix. Okay, so transposing is with the swapping of your rows and columns. And once you're done, then you have to just see. First thing what you do is you transpose it. Okay, the rows and columns are swapped, and then you reverse each row. So it will just be in the opposite way. So if you see here, we have um, I and j. So your k is n minus 1. So if I have to swap it, I just swap it this way. And if it was anti-clockwise, the code would be the other way. You would be swapping columns. In this case, we are swapping rows. So with this, you'll understand how the rotation works. For clockwise, it's normal transpose and swapping rows. For anti-clockwise, it's transpose and then swapping columns. Okay, in our question, it was mentioned that it is a square matrix. If it was not a square matrix, then you need to find the positions of the elements. So it's a good question. What if it's not a square matrix? So then you need to position your elements like I minus 1, j, or I plus. Okay, so assuming you have a 4 into 4 matrix, 4 into 5 matrix. Okay, so you take something along the rows like I and maybe j along the columns, and you can find the positioning of the particular elements using the n, m, or ij values, and then the thing would take place. It will be much more complicated and take more time, but that is the solution there. That can be used here as well, but this is the more appropriate and it takes lesser time. So that is the reason I use this particular method in this question. I hope that solves your answer, Ayushi. Moving on to the next question. This is the last question. A very interesting question again. So it's simple, okay? It looks complicated. So it's similar to we had another graph question kind of thing earlier, the container with most water. Here also, we are given these an input array, okay, which can be represented on the graph in this way. Now we need to find how much rain is trapped at a particular index. So if I say 2, at index 2, I'm supposed to know that 2, 2 units of rain is trapped there. At 0 again is that. So at the end of this, I will have to get to know how much units of water is trapped after this whole array is traversed. Okay. Yeah, it is. It looks similar to the water tank question. Over there, you needed to find the maximum. Here we are finding the entire water. So if you understand that, this should be much easier. But this has a specific way of doing. So I'll explain you all how to do it. So there are many questions which look similar, but they might have a better way of solving it. So hence I chose this particular question for you guys. So yeah, so this is how it is. Okay, if this was your graph, and you have to get water. Okay, so this water would definitely be only till here. Otherwise, it would overflow, just like in your container with max water. So when I have water till here, it's the minimum among these. Again, when I talk about this, it wouldn't just be these two. Water wouldn't be just here. For 5, it would be till here. So if you understand, it is the maximum, which is the maximum ranges closer to you, and the minimum among them. So if you come to this particular position again, you see this, okay, this is there, then you have this, and water would be only in between this because there's nothing on top for it to stay. So our final answer over here would be adding all these units, which would be 6 units. Now there are various cases here as well. So just imagine something like this. You can't trap water in here. You can't either here. Here also you can't. In these cases, you can because of the way they are positioned. That is, the left or the right building is giving it some space. So how do you do this? Okay, it's the simple algorithm. And I think that with the image, you all should understand much better than you guys would otherwise do. So just remember, this is how you do it. You have to find the tallest bar on the left and the right. Get the minimum of this and then subtract it from the current height. Let me show you guys an example. So I have to find for 2. Okay. So I have 2 here. Okay, at position 2. So I find the tallest bar on the left, it's 1. Tallest bar on the right, 7. Which is the minimum among them? 1. So that is my current value. Now, to find the water here, I'm going to subtract 1, the current height from 1. Current height is 0. There is no height for this building. So 1 minus 0 is 1. That is the amount of water trapped here. Let's think about 3, okay? At 3, how much water can be trapped? Highest, the tallest star before it, it's 7. Tallest on the left, 1. Minimum of these, 1. 1 minus 3, minus 2. It's a negative number, so no water is trapped here. Okay, coming to 5. Tallest on the left, 3. Tallest on the right, 7. Minimum of these, 3. 3 minus 0. Okay, it's not, sorry, it's the height, okay? I said the indices earlier. The size of 3 is 2. So 2 minus 0 is your 2. So the height here would be 2. So at every position from the start till the end, you are going to measure the height which you can of the tank. Okay, like how much water can be trapped. And the final, whatever water, the amount you get, that would be your answer. Cool? Let's move to the code. So as I explained you guys, I think it was pretty clear from that diagram. First, you have your for loop here. You have to find the maximum element on the left, maximum element on the right. You have your total value initially, the sum as 0. And each time you're going to find the um, the difference between the minimum of this max left and max right and subtract the current value of the position. Okay, is this clear? Is there any question with this? Is there any confusion or any question regarding this particular question? Is it all clear? Type it yes if you're right, if you all are all clear about this. Harshit, what is your doubt? Okay. So Harshit, maybe you can leave your doubt till the end. If you have any, we'll answer then. Okay. So now is your time to assess yourself. I want you guys to type in the chat fast. Okay. Whatever percentage you would like to give yourself above 100, from 100. What you think you are capable of answering, you were capable, or how better you feel you are right now. Fast, 2 minutes, whatever you think. Answer. How much of it were you able to answer till now? Was there any improvement? Did you all feel that you all understand the questions better? Great. So, see, few things I'm going to tell you all before you attempt your interview or your coding test. It could be a competitive coding competition also, which requires your DSA concepts. So, first thing, know your fundamentals. Fundamentals doesn't just mean knowing how to code, like what are array structures or classes, inheritance. No, not just them. You need to know the algorithms in and out, like sorting, searching, or all those algorithms that I mentioned earlier as well. Try to understand them. And if you don't know, like you will be attempting mock tests, questions, quizzes, something. So, for example, today you saw the Kahoot quiz. There was a question which you thought could be answered in another way, but you were wrong. Go out, research, check where you went wrong, and don't just check that answer. Go ahead and try the other questions as well mentioned there. There's a huge probability that you're going to learn so much more than you were thinking that you would know. Next, when you see the question paper, the question, read the question twice and understand it. Many of the times we just go through it, we think, yeah, this is nothing. I can do it. I even when I was in first standard, I could do it. Not literally, but you might think that way. No, questions might be in a way that you think it's easy, but it's not. And you realize that when you start compiling and testing your questions. So read it properly. Once you read it, the next step is to visualize the question. Carry a pen and paper, or if you are an expert at this, visualize it in your brains. Think of a situation, maybe a real life application as well. How would it be done there? Think of your own test cases of your visualization. If it works, it's similar to the output given to you. Very well, go ahead. You don't The algorithms don't need to come from within. Like you, it's not that you know everything, you solved everything. Well, there are so many questions out there, and it is practically not very possible for you to solve every question out there, but you need to understand how it is rather than just mugging up won't help. And methods vary. A same question can be solved in many ways. So visualize and practice on paper if possible. Do mock tests. Go on. You like if you it's a particular interview for a company. Check out the interview questions for that particular company. Well, some companies prefer testing you all in a particular way. The others don't. Some of them might give you really easy questions, and you who are preparing only for the tough level questions might falter here because you see the question and you're like, no, this should be solved in a different way because it's an interview question. But well, maybe that company wanted to see your basics. So practice mock tests and be prepared, okay? Be mentally prepared. See, there are times where there can be certain circumstances, like if we wait for the last moment, 2-3 days before the test, something happens, something in our personal or professional life, and we can't bear that. But we have to give the test. So be prepared in advance if possible. And please, one thing, whether on a test or in your life, don't be attached to your code. Some of us work so much on a particular project or a code, we get attached to it. We kind of build a relationship with our own codes and we can't get rid of it. You need to learn how to get rid of it. And you have to always change with time. So optimize your code. If the test cases are not working, if it says that runtime error, you can't start fighting with the compiler saying, no, I'm pretty sure it's right. That's not how it works. You need to be ready to optimize it and find better solutions. And this, getting better outputs, comes from practice. Another thing, beautify your code. Why do I say this? Why would a compiler even bother about the beautification? It's not for the compiler or anyone, it's for you. If you're solving for a while now and your code messed, the last 2-3 minutes you get to recheck your question or find something, you have an idea. You think that you got a method to solve it. Well, if your code is messed up, you might delete some important statements. You might also mess up what is already existing. So try to use proper indentations, use proper programming styles. You can add comments if the code is long, but make sure that it's all mentioned properly. Test it for all exceptional cases. This is especially when you practice. Um, try out different cases as well. Okay, the exceptions which we think won't be required, they could be among your test cases as well. And yeah, where do you practice all this now? So there are various programming sites. You can go on HackerRank, Hackers. They actually provide you mock tests for particular companies as well, which is really helpful. Now there's Lead Code and such platforms as well. So you can revise your theory from different sites. Now, if it is something like, you can go on something like Geeks for Geeks or Tutorial Point, or okay, if it's not regarding data structures in general, if you want some syntaxes, you can go on W3 Schools. This is for your web technology and all. So I'm just saying, in general, there is a lot of content out there. And trust me, today in this session, I just picked out 7 questions which I found were very important. And yeah, you might have found these questions that they are exactly on some sites, but well, they are, because they have been asked so frequently, not only in the FANG companies, but even in the other company interviews. They can help you get a good job, because these common questions, okay, trust me, if you solve around 100 to 150 questions, not only 100, less than that also, with every question you get a different idea of how to solve these kind of questions. So when you actually face the paper, you will have tried and tested so many methods already, so you don't need to worry and test them again right now. You have like limited time. You are supposed to understand the question and try to solve it in a new way, which is more efficient, and that comes from your practicing in coding. So make sure you do that. Okay, guys, so any other questions from your side which you would like to ask me? I'm open to questions right now. Yes, Isha, I had tried using the whiteboard for the jamming, but then I think some people would have to leave, get out of the meet, and there would have been confusion. Yeah, sure, I think the team would be willing to do that in a better way next time. Is there any other questions from anyone? There was someone in the beginning who had some questions. Aishi, I'm not aware of that. The team will definitely let you guys know about the next webinar. Also, what I'll do is I have compiled some important algorithms and some codes in on my GitHub account of DSA, like the most important codes, okay? Which I'll share the link with the team as well, so they can share it with you guys. These are the most common coding questions in data structures. Yes, yes, sure. So I'll just share it here, and you can definitely go ahead, try it out. And yeah, if there's any other doubts, do let me know. Anshika? Anshika? Okay, just a minute. Merging two
Yeah,
sorted arrays. Yes, yeah, Arpit. I have a few links which I could share with them. Should I share it with them here, or would you be sending it to them?
I will be sending them to them. You can share it to me on my personal chat.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. That'll be better, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. Okay, so Isha has a question. It is about merging two arrays. Isha, so this question that you're doing, okay, there is a much simpler way and much more. They're both sorted arrays, right? And you're just merging them. Cool. So there's a much more simpler method to solve it. So what I'll suggest you is like since we're also exceeding time, what I'll do is I'm going to share the GitHub link, right, of my code. So right now I'll have to search for it. So what I'll do is I'll send the link over there in the sorts, I guess. Yeah, I think it's in the sorts. You will find merging of arrays. It's either in the sorts or arrays folder. You're going to get this code properly explained over there. If you have any doubts, you can also contact me on Twitter at Naik Vritika, which is my handle, or you can contact me on LinkedIn so that we can stay in touch and I can explain you that again as well. Okay. So for the merging thing, I would just suggest you like there's like a proper method wherein first check you compare the lengths of the arrays and all of it, like you compare the lengths of the arrays and based on that you uh, compare the first elements each element wise and you take it in. Okay, and after that you just take it all. So there's this particular method and that requires the least time complexity and it works much better than this. Okay, about my LinkedIn and my Twitter. Okay, are there any doubts from anyone? Okay, great. So before we end this, I would request you guys, whoever is willing to, if they could turn on their camera and we could have like group picture or something. Though if this was live, then definitely we would be meeting each other. But since it's online, this is like the best way we can meet. Guys, requesting you to turn on your camera. Let me start. Okay, I've taken one. Ankit, have you also? Arpit, you also?
Yeah, okay.
Great, great. Yes, Mama. Okay, so that's it from my side. Guys, it was wonderful meeting you, talking to you guys. And I hope you gained something from this session as well. Over to Arpit and the team. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. It was a precious time with you, and we got a lot more learning from this webinar. Also, I learned a few new topics from this, and I suppose everyone would have a great learning from this webinar. So, I would like to thank you, everyone, for attending this webinar. And about the feedback link, you all will get it in the WhatsApp group, and then we will circulate the certificates to you all through emails.